Hello and welcome to Bunk Book, the Bunk original where you get to know the podcaster behind your favorite shows. My name is Neil and tonight's guest. Oh. Okay, my name is Neil, and tonight's guest is a chemical engineer, a marketing specialist, a market researcher, a teacher, a content analyst, a singer, a composer, a writer, an actor, a Korean speaker, a translator, a son, a brother, and a friend here and in all multiverses conceivable. Please welcome Rome.
Yay!
Hi,
안녕하세요.
Rome.
Hello.
Annyeong. Wow, that was a mouthful. I love the in all multiverses conceivable segment.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. Really holistic.
I think so, and it's important because you are the host of Kinka Podcast, K
Mhm.
drama and language learning. So, can you tell us a little bit about what your show is about?
Yeah, Kingka is a podcast that I made or dedicated to my fellow Korean language enthusiasts at the same time, people who love K dramas. So in the show, I talk about K dramas, Korean language, and at the same time, Korean culture.
Ooh. Now, love the show. I'm gonna ask you the same question, but this time, explain it to me like I'm only 5 years old. So, Tito Rome, what is Kinka?
Okay, pamangkin. Pamangkin. Because you called me Tito, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, pamangkin. Kingka Podcast ay isang podcast kung saan nanonood tayo ng K-dramas.
Ooh.
Tapos, natututo din tayo ng Korean language at yung kultura ng mga Koreans.
Wow. Very loving. I think you're a great uncle.
I
Okay.
hope
You are also the host of Byeoljari,
uh,
Constellations Korean ASMR for language learners. What is that show about?
yeah, Byeoljari or Constellations is a Korean ASMR podcast that I also made for Korean language learners. And there I just whisper about anything under the what did I say? Sa ano ko? Under the beautiful night sky. Yeah. So just about anything, and then I just whisper in Korean, and now with English versions. Ayun.
Yeah, so that's pretty new. You started doing, I think you call it season heartbreak or heartbreak
Heartbreak,
season.
season heartbreak. Yeah.
Season heartbreak, ayun. So let's go back to Kinka, your language K drama show. How did that show get started?
It started during the pandemic. I was doing another podcast, which was yeah something else entirely, and then at that time I felt like I wanted to branch out from doing just that, and I wanted to make use of my Korean language skills, and at the same time. I had to find a reason to watch K dramas because I wasn't really so into K dramas before,
Mm.
and yeah, I just thought it might be a good time to watch K dramas. That was during the rise of ET1 class, startup, and the likes.
Mm.
So yeah, uh, yeah. Upon thinking about those stuff, I just decided, okay, let's do a K drama and Korean language podcast.
I love it. So parang halu-halo nung all of your different passions and
Uh,
interests, right? And that's probably why it sounds like you're having so much fun in those episodes because it's really something that you're passionate about. Now, I'm sure you've also had a lot of memorable moments while
uh,
hosting Kinka. Ano ba yung pinaka-memorable mong moment?
well, for Kinka, during the first year that I was doing it, I was doing what's this? Like
Drugs.
uh no,
Not drugs. Okay.
no, not drugs. I was doing some kind of voice acting. So I was getting
Oh.
some monologues or lines from the K dramas that I watch, and then I turned those into monologues. So doing the voice acting in Korean and then translating it to English was really fun.
Mm.
And yeah, there I was also able to use my voice acting skills. So yeah,
Ooh.
I think doing those things were, I know, the most memorable part of doing Kinka podcast. Although I haven't done the voice acting in the past episodes, but yeah, I miss that. I want to do that again. Yeah.
Again, I think it's time for you to come back to that format again because you seem like you really enjoyed it and we want to hear more of that. Now, if I listen to Kinka right now, what is it that I can expect to hear?
With the existing episode, it's kind of a mishmash of different kinds of things. Because I've been like changing formats every now and then. But the right now, if you listen to any of the past episode, you'll definitely get my views on different kinds of K dramas or Korean movies
Mm.
as well, and then some insights on Korean culture that were depicted in any of those K dramas, and maybe a few words or phrases in Korean.
Mm. That's true. I think
Yeah.
my first encounter of Kinka was yung you did an episode on Designated Survivor, the
Oh
Korean
yeah.
version. And you
Mhm.
talked about how parang there was a context. Sorry, it's been a while ha, since I listened to this
Yeah.
episode. But I remember being fascinated kasi may part doon na parang ganito yung sinabi, ganito yung tinranslate. But
Mm.
parang with the Korean context of it, this is what they really meant.
Uh
And
huh.
you talked about that phrase and you told us how to say it out loud. Syempre, hindi ko siya magawa, di ba? Pero it was nice to hear all of that. So yeah,
Wow,
I
that's
really
so good
enjoyed
that you
that.
remember. I don't even remember what that is.
Well, I'm not the only one who remembers your episodes. I actually compiled some reviews about your show, and I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
read them for you now, and I want to hear what you think about them. Okay?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
international tayo ngayon. Our first stop is Indonesia. So a magazine called Femina featured you in their 5 featured podcasts for learning Korean, and in their feature they said, interestingly, the podcast which launched one more time. Interestingly, the podcast, which launched its first episode in November 2020, was created to review and discuss scenes in a Korean drama. So listeners are invited to understand a scene in a play delivered by Rome in English. Call it popular Korean dramas such as Record of Youth, Startup, True Beauty, Navilera, etc. And on the Instagram account at Kingka Podcast, there are uploads of words and vocabulary which also appear in Korean drama. Ooh, what a nice feature. What do you think?
Oh. Yeah, that's it's very kind of them to say those things and them telling that I did those things, which I haven't done in a while, like posting vocabulary words. I feel like, yeah, I should work
This is
harder.
your intervention, Rome. We need this. This is something the world needs. Pero umabot ng Indonesia. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, actually, considering I think Indonesian people doesn't really, I mean, they don't really speak English that much, right? Or
Hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm not judging, but yeah, I think they're not really English speakers in general.
Hmm.
But yet, for
So for
them to
them to
listen to that, yeah.
learn, yeah, interesting, super interesting. Okay, we now travel to Korea. This is Joy of Korean. They
Um,
featured you in their list of 24 best podcasts for learning Korean. So this is what they had to say about you. Do you want to learn Korean through K drama and films? If so, check out Kinka Podcasts. This is for anyone interested in Korean culture and language, seen and heard in K drama and K movies. Rome, the creator, is not a native, yet he is a skilled and passionate Korean language learner. He covers endless new words and cultural aspects of Korean dramas using English and Korean. Wow!
wow. Yeah, more pressure for me.
You can, pwede mo naman i-enjoy lang yung victory. Hindi mo naman kailangan ma-pressure.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been a while since I've done it in a way that qualifies for the reviews that they're giving. So
mm.
parang
But
more
there's
pressure.
so many great K dramas that came out just this year, like The Glory.
Yeah.
Dr. Cha is so funny. So maybe it's time to dust off that microphone and come back, right?
Right. It's time for me to watch K dramas again because I haven't seen any for a while.
Ayan, sige. We'll send you a list of must watch. I think we got a list from our friends from One to Sarang. So they're definitely
Uh,
going to help us out. Okay. One last, and this is from the UK. Ew. So I have to read this with an accent. This is Lingo Class UK. They featured you in their top 5 podcasts for Korean learners. Kinka is a podcast dedicated to all things K drama. It uses K drama as a platform to discuss elements of culture and language, while also giving the narrator's take on various TV shows. It's both informative and fun, and will definitely appeal to those with a passion for Korean drama or an affinity for Korean culture in general. The language lessons inside this podcast are interesting, but it's not an educational podcast as much as it is an entertaining one. Use it to keep up to date on your favorite shows, as well as learn any language that relates to the stories specifically. What do you think?
yeah. Well, yeah, it's so true. I mean, Kinka is right now. It's more of an entertainment podcast rather than an educational
Mm,
one. But hopefully, I'd find the balance of making it entertaining and at the same time educational, right?
true.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be your main resource to learn Korean,
Yeah.
but it's definitely, 'di ba, when you're learning a new language, it helps to immerse yourself in it. So
Right.
it's so funny kasi you're playing it cool pero habang nagbabasa ako ng reviews, palalim ng palalim yung dimple mo. So, binibetray ka ng katawan mo.
Oh
We can
my
tell you
god.
like it. And and it's okay. It's okay for you to celebrate these because we celebrate you, we celebrate your show, and
Yeah.
um we love it. So keep doing it.
Thank you. Kamsamda.
Okay, now we know that apart from being a podcaster, you also have like a real life, a real job. So let's get to know the host behind the microphone. Can you tell us what you do in real life?
Okay. So right now I'm working in the financial information services industry.
Oh my gosh. So like ano to, math, mga ganyan, like money stuff.
Not really. I deal with financial data, pero not numerical data.
Hmm.
It's more of textual data, information that are needed by shareholders to make,
Ooh.
shareholder decision, something like that. Somehow it's related to me knowing Korean because
Hmm.
I use my Korean language skills for the job.
But it's
Yeah.
interesting because the side of your brain that deals with like language is often different from the one that deals with data and numbers and logic,
Uh,
right? So I think it's interesting that you have this passion, and then your real life job is completely different. You're very talented.
thank you.
Now, speaking of talent,
Uh huh.
I heard that you once participated in a talent show. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about that?
Okay. Yeah. So it was actually a pageant back when I was in
Ooh,
high school. So if you know the what's this like science camp and stuff,
not so
right?
much.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, back then, in during the days, during the olden days, we had these kinds of science camps, and they often have pageants intertwined with those. And so I joined one of the pageants, uh, Mr. and Miss Royce, Region One Young Scientist something.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
god.
and yeah, we had a talent portion. Um, well, to tell you, I didn't win the competition. I didn't get into the
Oh.
top three, but I got the major award, best in talent. And
Okay.
I guess it wasn't because of what I did in general, but because of what happened. So my talent was a monologue with a song and a dance number within 2 minutes. Yeah, so monologue with a song and dance number within two
Sabi nila
minutes was
choose one, you're like, no, I want to do it all.
yeah, that's true. But so I had to do that in 2 minutes, and my entry to the stage was like this. I was facing the wall of the stage,
Okay.
with my back facing the audience, and I was holding a kite, and I was to enter the stage from the side entrance, walking slash running backwards to the
Oh,
middle of the stage,
wow.
while the song Saranggola ni Pepe was playing. If you know that song, Matayag ang lipa ng
Yes.
Saranggola ni Pepe, something like that. And then, so I was running towards the center of the stage, and there were like trash in the middle of the stage. It was set on purpose, but what happened next was not on purpose. So I was just running, and unintentionally, I stepped on one trash, and I slipped
Oh
and
no.
fell on my butt.
And
And
that was not part of that was not
yeah,
part of
it
the
it was
segment.
not part of the segment. We didn't plan for me to fall on my ass.
Oh
So
no.
I was surprised. All the audience were also surprised, and they were like shouting like "whoa" something like that. And just when that happened, I faced the audience and I said, "Oh, andiyan pala kayo. Oh, you're there." And I just continued with the monologue that I have prepared. And yeah, I mean, the monologue and the song and dance number weren't really that special, but I think that happening and me being able to, get back up on my feet literally was what made me get the best in talent award, I think.
Deserve yan. I think that should be in your resume. I think future employers need to know that you bounce back quickly, that you can think on your feet and on your ass. So good job,
Yeah,
right?
right. There actually there's a video of that on YouTube, but without the part where I fell on my ass, just from the monologue. So if it
Sige.
were
Sa,
included, it
sa
would have been
Christmas
nice. But
party
yeah.
ng bunk, dapat magpa-perform si
Oh
Rome.
my god.
So that was the voice of God. We would like to acknowledge the presence. God has spoken. It's a bunk
Amen.
Christmas party. We're gonna recreate it or just play the video.
Oh my god.
I think recreate. Kailangan ma-witness natin in person.
Can I volunteer to
Okay.
be the garbage? Ako na lang yung apakan mo.
Oh my- I'm heavy, I'm heavy. If I fall on you, yeah, there will be some damage.
Okay lang yan. As podcasters, hindi naman natin kailangan yung all our body, our whole body. We just need our voice. Now, as a podcaster, I'm sure that you listen to your fair share of podcasts. So we have a
uh,
special segment here in Bunk Book called Spotify Reveal.
Yay! My God.
Ayan. Okay, so Spotify Reveal, without preparing, we need you to open your Spotify app and show
Okay.
us the last 3 shows that you listened to.
All right.
Nakakakaba? Parang kinabahan ka.
Okay, so removing my podcasts kasi I
Ah.
listen to my podcast then from time to time. So on top of my list is Stories
Ah!
by yours truly, Neil, City
Ano
Boy.
yan? Okay, you're supposed to talk a little bit about it, but I will be cringing the whole time. So, go forth.
Yeah, so, well, in my own words, stories or the stories I wish you heard, which Neil created, are stories of love and heartbreaks and pain and joy and all those mix of emotions that we all get to experience and relate to. So, yeah,
Oh,
that's also why I listen to this podcast.
oh, thank you. And you're one of the few shows that I've collaborated with. So we did that live segment in
Uh,
that thing, if you remember. Yung nasira yung
yes,
aircon. Medyo masaya
right.
yun. And yeah, so thank you. Let's move on to the second show. What's the second show?
Okay, the second show is Creep Silog with Gideon and Glenn. So
Creeper ka
it's a
pala.
um. Well, I don't listen to all the episodes, but yeah, I listen from time to time whenever I find something
Mm.
interesting. But yeah, it's the second on my list. So they talk about paranormal stuff, creepy stuff, uh, gore stuff even, and yeah,
Hmm.
with Pinoy humor as they say.
And you
Creeps
like
pod.
that. That's it's not very like it's if you were to have a Venn diagram, you would not be there.
Uh,
So so this is something that you listen to that you enjoy.
yeah, I do enjoy listening to those kinds of stories. And they also asked me to be a guest a few months ago. Yeah, so
Ooh.
that's why.
Well, they're super super fun. I mean, it's
They
always a blast,
are,
right?
yes.
Okay, what is the third show?
The third show is, yeah, I guess many people don't know about this podcast. It's called the Art of Manliness podcast.
The
It's a
art of
podcast. Yeah,
manliness.
yes, Art of Manliness. It's a podcast that originated as a blog by some dude. I don't really call his name, but I just call him the Art of Manliness guy. Um, it's not about. I think it's not a podcast that's about being a macho man, but it's although they say manliness, it's I think it's just about having a what's this the strength of the mind, something like that. So if for
Ooh.
people these days they listen to adulting, right, the podcast
Mm,
adulting with somebody, I forgot her
mm.
name, I'm sorry.
Joy Spring yata to.
Oh yeah, yeah, adulting
Ah,
with Joy Spring. But for me, my adulting with Joy Spring is the Art of Manliness podcast.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your three shows with us. I think we get we got to know you a little bit more based on those three shows. So basically, you're in the middle of Creepsy Log stories and the art of manliness. Okay. We have one more thing before we end. We have
Hmm.
a second challenge for you. Are you ready to take the Eto or Eto challenge?
Okay.
So this is super fast. You will have 30 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. And so far, Dustin of the Kingdom Podcast holds the most number of questions answered. He was able to get 12. So
Mhm.
let's see how many you can get. Are you ready?
Okay.
And
Let's do
no need
this.
to explain, ha, as in literally you just say your answer.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay? 1 second. Let me set my timer properly. Hopefully, last time I did this, nag 30 minutes kami. So, 30
Eh,
seconds lang siya dapat. Ayun siya, 30.
okay.
I don't know
30
if it's
seconds.
focusing properly. Okay. All right, here we go. Single or in a relationship?
Single.
Night out or stay at home?
Stay at home.
Coffee or alcohol?
Coffee.
Fine dining or street food?
Street food.
Watch a vlog or listen to a podcast?
Listen to a podcast.
Gifts, give or receive?
Receive.
Be rich or be loved?
Be rich.
City or province?
Province.
Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now?
9.
9. Oh, very happy. So, unfortunately, that was just 10.
Uh,
So, you did not break the record, but we got to know a little bit more about you.
uh,
Curious about, medyo natigilan ka dun sa gifts, give or receive. Bakit ka natigilan
uh,
dun?
give or receive. Because I also like giving, but
Hmm.
when I try to weigh it, I guess I like receiving more than
Oo
giving.
naman. Mas masaya magbukas ng regalo, di ba? Tsaka hindi ka gagastos.
Correct.
And I'm happy that you're so happy. I think wala pang sumasagot ng perfect 10, but 9 is pretty close. A 9 out of 10 on the happiness scale. So, deserve na
Uh,
deserve.
yeah.
Now, I'm sure our listeners would love to listen to your show. So, before you go, can you tell us where our viewers and listeners can find the Kinka Podcast?
Yes. Hello, viewers and listeners of the Bunk Book. Uh, so right now I currently have two podcasts with Bunk Collective. It's Kingka, the K drama podcast, and Byeoljari, the Korean ASMR podcast. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to I mean, wherever you stream your podcast. You can also find them on social media, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. It's Kingka Podcast and Byeoljari Podcast. I forgot my I forgot my handle.
Basta hanapin nyo na lang.
Yeah, you can
Hindi,
find
hindi tayo spoon feeding dito.
them. Yeah, follow me on my socials then using this
Ay, nawala siya.
random characters, this there, here, yeah.
There. Okay. Ay,
Yeah,
I'm pointing at the wrong place.
yeah, it's
You
my
can...
Korean name, Han Dojun.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that was what that was. I always thought it was like some weird combination of letters.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you try to follow like Korean actors and actresses, usually you will see like weird sets of alphabets because that's the like keyboard equivalent of their Korean names.
That's where you would type it.
Yes.
I think pauso natin yung nalala mo yung lumang pagte-text, yung pipindutin mo
Ah,
ulit-ulit. Let's do that too.
right.
So 7777 to get to R, 'di ba?
Right.
Oo,
Yeah.
matatagalan tayo diyan. Okay, well, thank you so much, Rome, for signing the Bunk Book this week. This has been Neil with Rome for Bunk Book, a Bunk original show. Please follow Bunk socials. We are at the Bunk PH on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And let us know which Bunk host you'd like to sign the Bunk Book next by using hashtag Bunk Book. Please join us next time when we get to know the podcaster behind your favorite shows here on Bunk Book. Yay!